Afternoon, everybody. So today's topic of discussion is cephalosporins. So we shall be dealing this topic under the classification, mechanism of action, the spectrum, the pharmacokinetic aspects, adverse drug reactions, and the uses of different generations of cephalosporins. So as I already told you in the previous class, the cephalosporins also belong to beta-lactam antibiotics. They are semi-synthetic derivative of cephalosporin C. The cephalosporin C is obtained from Cephalosporium acrimonium fungus. So all the cephalosporins are derivatives of cephalosporin C. The mechanism of action, they are bactericidal drugs, just like penicillin. They are also bactericidal drugs, and they bind to the penicillin binding proteins, that is PPB, and inhibit the transpeptidation process of cell wall synthesis and inhibit and cause the bacterial cell wall lysis. So it's the exact mechanism, or more or less the same mechanism as that of penicillin. So just the same way that I had told you in penicillin, you will first write the steps of cell wall synthesis, and then you will say where the cephalosporins are acting. And then only you will come to the bacterial cell wall lysis. The resistance to cephalosporins is because of the alteration in the target proteins. The target proteins are the penicillin binding proteins. Then some of the cells have also, the bacteria have developed efflux mechanisms. That is, these mechanisms will cause the efflux of the cephalosporins. So when you're giving the cephalosporins to these bacteria, these will be effluxed out. So the drug will not be able to enter the bacteria, nor it will be able to act on the bacteria. Some bacteria can also produce beta-lactamases, which in the case of penicillins are called as penicillinases. But in the case of beta-lactamases produced by cephalosporins, they are referred to as cephalosporinases. Now we see the classification. This is very important. You have to learn this by heart. So first generation cephalosporins includes oral drugs like cephalexin, cefadroxil, and parenteral one like cefazolin. Second generation includes oral drugs like cefuroxime, epcetyl, that is a prodrug, and cefaclor. The parenteral one includes cefuroxime and cefoxitin. Third generation oral ones include cefixime, cefpodoxime, cefdinir, ceftibuten, ceftamate. Parenteral, cefotaxime, ceftriaxone, ceftazidime, cefoperazone, ceftriaxone. So all this you have to learn examples both under the oral and the parenteral one. Under the fourth generation, you are only having the parenteral drugs. Examples are cefepime and cefpiron. Again, fifth generation also, you are having only the parenteral ones, that is ceftobiprole and ceftaroline. Fifth generation, the drugs are very, very recent, and they are into the market only very recently. However, the third, fourth, second generations are already being in use. So now first we will learn, just have an orientation to the bacteria. So this will help you to write the spectrum of the cephalosporins, and even understanding the spectrum will be much easier. So you have to know that the bacteria are principally gram-positive or gram-negative. So the examples of gram-positive bacteria include Staphylococcus, Streptococcus and all. And under the gram-negative, I have given you a code, Henpex Pseudomonas. Okay, so H influenza, Enterobacter, Neisseria, Proteus, E. coli, Klebsiella, Salmonella, and Pseudomonas. So I recommend that you learn this. Okay, once you learn this, it is very easy to write the spectrum. So the code for gram-negative bacteria is Henpex Pseudomonas. This is only for your easy learning. Then anaerobes, examples of anaerobes are Clostridium bacteroides. So you will learn gram-positive bacteria, gram-negative bacteria examples, as well as the examples of anaerobes. Now we'll see the spectrum. The first generation, okay, the examples of which you have already learned. The effective action is on the gram-positive bacteria. Okay, first generation. Though they will not be active on the MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staph aureus. They will not be active on MRSA. They are active on all other gram-positive bacteria. They are having moderate action on few gram-negative bacteria. But for first generation, you have to principally remember that they are active more against the gram-positive bacteria. Second generation, the most action is on the gram-negative bacteria, including those producing beta-lactamases. So you will remember all these hen pests. What is not there is the Pseudomonas. So gram-negative, everything is there, including the ones which are producing beta-lactamases. So the principal action is mainly on the gram-negative bacteria, and some of the drugs of this category, like cefoxitin, it is also active on anaerobes. Third generation, they are most active again on gram-negative bacteria, but they are not active against those producing beta-lactamases. So you have to clearly understand the difference in the spectrum of second and the third generation. Both are active on the gram-negative bacteria, but third generation is not active against the beta-lactamates producing gram-negative one. Here you can see that few members, they inhibit the Pseudomonas, which is not there in the case of second generation cephalosporin. So which are the members of third generation which inhibit the Pseudomonas? They are ceftazidime and cefoperazone. Ceftazidime and cefoperazone. The fourth generation, it has got a balanced spectrum of activity. That is, they are having activity both against the gram-positive bacteria, just like the first generation, and they are also active against the gram-negative, just like the third generation. Some of them are having some activity against anaerobes also. The fifth generation, you can see it is active on gram-positive, including the MRSA. So it is only the fifth generation cephalosporin which are active on the MRSA. They are active on the gram-negative also, as well as the Pseudomonas. Okay, so this fifth generation is having a very high coverage. It is covering almost all the bacteria. This is only the summary of all the generations. You can see first generation most active on gram-positive bacteria, but not on MRSA. Second generation most active on gram-negative bacteria, including those producing beta-lactamases. Third generation most action is on gram-negative bacteria, but not against the beta-lactamase producing gram-negative bacteria. A few members can inhibit the Pseudomonas. Fourth generation having a balanced activity, and fifth generation is covering almost everything, including the MRSA. So as you see, as the spectrum goes downwards, as the generations go from the first to the fifth generation, you can see that the spectrum changes from the gram-positive to gram-negative to a balanced spectra, and to almost in fifth generation, it is able to cover almost all the bacteria. Now the pharmacokinetics, they have good to moderate absorption. The distribution, they are having good distribution in the body fluids. They cross the placenta, they are distributed in the breast milk. The third and the fourth generation cephalosporins have good penetration in the CSF. So you can see that the third and the fourth generation might be useful for the treatment of meningitis. Excretion, they are unchanged. They are excreted unchanged in the urine by renal tubular secretion and glomerular filtration. Some of them are excreted in the bile also. For example, cefoperazone and ceftriaxone. The adverse effects are pain, thrombophlebitis for the drugs which are given by the parenteral route, and for the drugs which are given by the oral route, and even cefoperazone, which is given by a parenteral route, it is diarrhea. Okay, so the oral cephalosporins can cause diarrhea, but the cefoperazone, though it is a parenteral drug, can also cause diarrhea. Just like penicillins, the hypersensitivity reactions are also very common in all the categories of cephalosporin. They also have some amount of nephrotoxicity. Hypothrombinemia leading to bleeding is seen with cefoperazone, ceftriaxone. Then neutropenia, thrombocytopenia is rare. It's seen with ceftazidime. Disulfiram-like reaction with alcohol can be seen with cefoperazone. So I have just clubbed up all the adverse drug reactions together, and I have mentioned which one will be causing in particular. Therapeutic uses. The first generation, you already know it is active against the gram-positive bacteria. So they are mainly active against the ENT, upper respiratory and skin infections, which are usually caused by gram-positive bacteria like Streptococcus and Staphylococcus. So under this, you can give cephalexin and cefadroxil. These are all first generation. You can give these drugs orally for these infections of the ENT, upper respiratory and skin infections. Then the first generation drug, that is cefazolin, it is also used for surgical prophylaxis. That is, this drug is given before surgical procedures in order to prevent infection. So cefazolin can be given both IM as well as intravenously. The second, third, and the fourth generation, they have common uses. You can see here, I've taken them all together. They are used for respiratory, urinary, and soft tissue infections, which are caused by gram-negative organism. Okay, so a lot of respiratory infections, urinary infections, UTI, all this can be caused by gram-negative. And against this, the second generation and third generation cephalosporins are active. So you can use cefuroxime, cefotaxime, ceftriaxone, cefixime. All this can be used for treating that. Meningitis, again, you can use third generation because the organism Neisseria meningitis. It is a gram-negative bacteria. It can be taken care of by the third generation cephalosporins. And also, you know that third generation cephalosporins like cefotaxime, ceftriaxone, they can have good CSF penetration. Third indication is for gonorrhea and chancroid. These are sexually transmitted diseases, and for them, treatment is by third generation cephalosporin, and you can give ceftriaxone as a single dose. Other uses include typhoid, where you can use third generation cephalosporin like ceftriaxone or cefoperazone. They are also used for prophylaxis and GI surgeries. The drugs used as cefaclor. They are used in hospital-acquired infections. You can see third and the fourth generation ones are used. They are used for febrile neutropenia. Third and fourth generation ones are used. Burns, which are caused by Pseudomonas. Again, you can use third or fourth generation cephalosporin. The fifth generation cephalosporin, they are kept as reserve only to be used for complicated skin and soft tissue infections because of MRSA. For community-acquired pneumonia, which is occurring because of resistant Streptococcus pneumonia, as well as for hospital-acquired infections, which are resistant to other antibiotics. So, fifth generation, you are not using it commonly. You are using it only for infections which are resistant and are not responding to other antibiotics. So, the uses, once again, of second generation, third generation, and fourth generation are respiratory, urinary, and soft tissue infections by gram-negative organisms, meningitis, STDs like gonorrhea, chancroid, typhoid, prophylaxis in gastrointestinal surgeries, hospital-acquired infections, febrile neutropenia, burns caused by Pseudomonas. Fifth generation ones are kept as reserve for complicated infections as well as for infections which are resistant to other cephalosporins. So the important questions are classify cephalosporins. Then that is easy. It is already given with examples. Mechanism of action, you will describe exactly the same way that we have described for penicillin. You have to write elaborately about the cell wall synthesis, and then you will say where this is acting. Mode of resistance, I have already mentioned. The common adverse effects, I have already mentioned. Now, suppose you get a short note on second generation cephalosporin. Then how can you write? Based on this particular class or based on this particular note, how can you write the second generation cephalosporin? Okay, that is what I'm going to tell you now. So, when you're given a short note on second generation cephalosporin, first thing that you will write is example. Both the examples of oral and parenteral. That is from the classification. Then what will you write? The mechanism of action. The mechanism of action is same for all cephalosporins. So you will write the same thing. Then you will write the mechanism of resistance, which is also same for all the generations. You will write that. Then you will write the spectrum, which I have separately given for second generation. I've given you a spectrum. You will write that. Then you will write the adverse drug reaction, okay, which are also very commonly given in one slide. Then the uses, you will pick up only the uses where I have written second generation cephalosporin. Okay, the same thing you will do it for third generation cephalosporin. Now, if you're getting an short note on ceftriaxone, then what will you write? First, you start with it is a third generation cephalosporin. Then you will write the mechanism of action, mechanism of resistance, which is the same. Spectrum, you will write the same spectrum as that is there for third generation. Adverse reactions pertaining to ceftriaxone. If you have seen anything, that is there, as well as the common ADRs in the slides you will write. The uses, you will write exactly the same uses which I have mentioned under the third generation. So this is a very, very simple method of studying cephalosporins, and you can attempt any kind of short note with this form of with these slides itself. Hope you have understood. Thank you.